Pato. I'm the King Juan Carlos I of Spain Chair in Spanish Culture and Civilization, and I am really excited to be here. I'm also a Galician bagpiper. I am an educator, a pianist, a producer, and a writer. And there is something very unique and very powerful about being the first musician that occupies this position. And it's also a beautiful and huge responsibility that I hope I handle with love, but also with passion. In the last few years, I've been exploring the idea of invisibility in one of my projects. That idea was partially inspired by an NYU professor, Professor James Fernandez, who has been researching and studying the life of the invisible immigrants of Spain during the late 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. I thought that maybe using that idea of invisibility will help me to connect the dots between all the disciplines and all the cultures that I've been lucky enough to be working in academia in the last decade. My first lecture for this position is based on the idea of being in between. It's called Transcending Disciplines, and I'm going to be working through the different ways of understanding the role of the arts and the artist in the society. And with that, I hope to open a door to everybody's imagination to think about what is it that an artist can do in an academic institution. What is it that a musician can bring into being able to talk about emotions and conversations that sometimes are impossible to think or talk out loud through other languages. Professionally speaking, I'm well known to be a Galician bagpiper that has touched on many different musical languages. I have had the honor of working with amazing mentors like Yo-Yo Ma and the Silk Road Ensemble over more than a decade. And I have also had the honor of working in the intersection between disciplines and between cultures for all my professional life. Yo-Yo Ma is a person that I have worked with for a number of years, but also is a person that has inspired me to understand that talent is a responsibility and to make my own transition from being a professional musician to being a person that works in between disciplines in academia. It was Yo-Yo, the person that I heard the first time to talk about the edge effect. In ecology, the edge effect is the point in which two ecosystems meet, such as the forest and the savanna. And apparently, in that intersection is where more new life forms are created. And somehow I've been creating my own edge effect all my life, as a classical pianist, as a bagpiper, as an educator, and as a person that lives in between two distinctly different cultures, such as the Galician one and the New York one, because I am too an immigrant to this country and I am a full-time New Yorker somehow. During the next months, I will be talking to my colleague from UCSB, Ken Kosick from Neuroscience Department, talking about the invisible genes that he has been exploring over the years in Colombia and exploring the concept of migration and cultural memory through human cognition. I will also be talking about Afro-Latin perspectives in classical music and jazz. And this is why I am inviting Afa S. Dworkin from the Sphinx organization and Arturo Farril from the Afro-Latin Jazz Alliance to have a conversation about how different it is to look at the same problem from different musical languages. I'm also inviting a few editors from the Basque Country, from Catalonia and from Galicia, to talk about bilingual societies through the perspectives of editors that are surviving this idea of bilingualism in the 21st century. And lastly, I'm incredibly honored and excited to say that Yo-Yo Ma is going to be joining me for another conversation in the spring semester to talk about his back project and the role of the artist in the society and in the way we understand cultural sustainability. And also, what is it that we have, folkloric musicians, that we sometimes have the ability of bringing people together. The values you practice as a musician are collaboration, flexibility, innovation, and creativity. And those values are essential into every possible discipline. Somehow what I am trying to do during this academic year at the King Juan Carlos I of Spain Center is, through the arts, and through the topic of invisibility, to bring up impossible conversations with different disciplines and with different activists and thinkers that are trying to make the impossible possible.